Chapter 19. There's not a whole lot Justice is sure of these days, but he knows that he shouldn't be in this seat at the back of the number 87 bus right now. If it weren't for the newspaper article in his pocket about Mr. Rivers losing his job, he'd be studying for finals or hanging out with SJ. But all he's thought about over the past few days is how sad Manny's parents were when they invited him over to tell him they were moving. Doc gave Justice a copy of the article about Mr. Julian stepping down the morning it was released. His first thought, instead of Sonia Kittress, the name on the article should have been none of your business. Manny's parents more or less sponsored the Atlanta chapter of the Justice for Jam movement, Justice and Manny. So, of course, they'd participated in the local marches. It wasn't their fault the one they were photographed at overflowed onto the highway, blocking all northbound and southbound lanes. The day the Riverses shared their relocation plans, they also told Justice that Mr. Julian had received an ultimatum. Basically, sever all ties with that so-called movement or clear out of that corner office, in so many words. Mr. Julian told Justice he calmly explained the meaning of civil disobedience before removing his framed degrees from the wall. Justice is on the number 87 bus, the final bus in the commute from Oak Ridge to Wynwood Heights. Because of what Quan said, there's no escaping the black man's curse. Has been echoing in his head since he left the Rivers' house. He has no idea where else to go or who else to turn to. SJ's great, but not for this. And while he could go to Doc, Justice doesn't really want to hear any more stay good even though the world craps on you advice. Mama would throttle Justice if she knew where he was going. Everybody in the neighborhood knows who Martell is. But frankly, she hasn't been any help lately either. Every time he calls or stops by Mama's house, she brings up SJ. All Justice knows is he's got this bad feeling in his gut. Kind of like somebody crawled into his stomach and ran a cheese grater over the inside. He needs to get rid of it somehow. Talk to somebody who gets what he's feeling because they felt it too. You know who gets it? Deuce Diggs. Justice has been listening to his music a lot since he woke up without a best friend. There's one track he's had on repeat since the article dropped. Turn on the news, another black man slain. They say, it's okay, save your voice, don't complain. This isn't about race, so stop using that excuse. Now look at this funny picture of Obama in a noose. See how colorblind we are? You're not really black to me. Underneath where it matters, we both bleed red, you see. So put away that race card. It ain't 1962. There's no more segregation. Isn't that enough for you? But of course, Justice doesn't have access to Deuce Diggs. He can't just call him up and say, oh yeah, hey dog, I'm feeling what you're feeling. Can we talk? Justice remembers what Quan said about the neighborhood guys being like family. That Martell would get it. That he'd be welcome if he wanted in. That's really why he's on this bus right now. He's sick of feeling alone. The first thing to cross Justice's mind as he steps off the bus is the irony of looking for solace, for peace in the place he was anxious to get away from. As someone drives by in a brand new Benz, he also feels a twinge of guilt over refusing to drive his new car to Martell's house. How can he be mad at white people for profiling when he's doing the same darn thing they do? Lock your doors, hide your valuables. He even left Manny's watch at home. This is the stuff that has to be remedied. He hangs a left onto Wynwood Street and spots the gunmetal Range Rover that Trey said would be in the driveway. Despite it being an older model, more than the one Manny drove, seeing it makes Justice want to make a run for it. He should turn back. He really should. Turn back and go home to his mahogany desk and school issued MacBook. But he doesn't. It's not until Justice starts up the driveway that he notices the three guys sitting on the porch. Trey is there, plus White Boy Brad and the dude who had the gun during the Halloween disaster. Oh, if it ain't Mr. Smarty Pants, Brad says. The gun toter, Justice doesn't remember his name, smiles. What's up, Justice, he says. It's great to see you, buddy, old pal. The others laugh. Justice's eyes immediately drop to the guy's waistband. He can see the bulge of the gun handle beneath the dude's shirt. It gives him a chill. He tries to pull himself together. What's up, y'all? They all laugh again. Trey gives Justice the same kind of once over he did at the Halloween party all those months ago. He smiles that sneery, creeper smile and just feels like his guts are about to make an appearance inside his boxer briefs. Trey shouts, Hey, Martel, you've got company, over his shoulder at the screen door. And the second Justice steps onto the porch, a voice calls out from inside. Come on in, young brother. Even though his heart is about to explode, Justice pulls the door open and he enters the house. He's only ever eyed wearily due to the rumors about all the drugs and guns hidden inside. He follows a short hallway lined with what appears to be African relics and tribal masks, framed hieroglyphics, and a silhouette painted of Nefertiti. He can tell by the cylindrical headpiece that reminds him of the flat top haircut some of the NBA players are trying to bring back. There's similar art all over the walls of the living room. Justice is sure this house could win the world record for largest collection of ancient Egypt paraphernalia. His gaze roams the space until it lands on a youngish, bearded black man in a dashiki shirt and kufi hat. He's sitting cross-legged in a papasan chair with a kente cloth cushion. Most notable is the black tracking device strapped to his ankle. So this is why the dude couldn't just meet Justice at a coffee shop. Welcome, the guy says. You must be Justice. Yep, that's me. Martel. He sticks out a hand, and Justice walks over to shake it. Pleasure to meet you. Likewise. Justice looks around again and then sticks his hands in his pockets. Though Just has known of the Black Jihad leader since middle school, Martel in person is not what he expected. He honestly has no idea what to say to the guy. The silence is beginning to morph into something straight up menacing. Cool art, Martel smiles. I like to surround myself with reminders of ancient Kemet so the boys and I never forget our imperial roots. You know anything about that? Justice shrugs. I've studied it a bit, but I don't know a whole lot. Sorry. No need to apologize. Martel tenses fingers under his chin. You'll learn, young brother. You'll learn. The Europeans succeeded in denigrating and enslaving peoples of African descent. But there is royal blood flowing through your veins. You hear me? Justice nods and swallows. Yes, sir. People across the diaspora have been treated as inferior for so long. Most of us have habituated to the lie of white superiority. But never forget, Martel goes on, your ancestors survived a transatlantic journey, built this nation from the ground up, and maintained a semblance of humanity, even when their very conditions of their existence suggested that they were less than human. Jihad is the act of striving, persevering. That is your legacy, young brother. This country belongs to you. As Justice listens to Martel's voice, he can feel himself relaxing. He doesn't know if it's the voice itself or what it's saying, or the art or the incense or the atmosphere, but something about Martel and his house makes Justice feel looser than he's felt in a while. He looks at Martel, who's been watching him, reading him, studying him. He can tell ever since he stepped into the room, and yeah, Martel does get it. Quan said Justice would be welcomed, and that's exactly how he feels. The disarming effect gives him vertigo. So, what can I do for you, Justice? Martel asks. Before he knows it, Justice is telling Martel all the stuff he can't talk to anyone else about. How it felt to be profiled, the Martin experiment and how it failed, how alone he's felt and how furious he is, how much he misses his homeboy, Manny. Martel listens intently, stroking his beard, lowering his eyes when Justice gets to Manny's death, narrowing them when he hears about Mr. Julian's job. By the time Just finishes getting it all out, he's sprawled on his back across the great ink at the center of Martel's Egyptian rug. He feels empty, in a good way. Martel gets up without a word and disappears into what must be the kitchen. Just lets his head fall to the left. That's when he sees the sawed off shotgun tucked beneath the edge of the coffee table. It smacks him like a battering ram. He shouldn't be here. No matter how chill Martel seems, the dude is a criminal. Hello, house arrest anklet. Those guys outside, they're the same ones who threatened to shoot Manny's old friends. What the heck is he doing here? There's a tap on his foot, so Just looks up. Martel is squatting beside him with a glass in his hand. Just sits up and takes a drink. The first gulp is too big. He doesn't know why he didn't expect the thing to be alcoholic. He coughs at what feels like the flames of hell running down his esophagus, through his chest, and into his stomach. Martel laughs. Justice can tell it's a laugh of delighted amusement. It makes sense that the neighborhood guys without dads flock to Martel. So, the illusion wore off, huh? Seeing some truth now? He says. Justice nods, and that feeling of defeat returns to his chest now that the fire from the liquor is gone. Are you ready to strike back? Justice knew this question would come. What he isn't ready for, though, is the fear that seems to have elbowed its way in front of its fury. Is he ready to strike back? It's definitely not what Manny would want. But the reason he's even here is because Manny is gone. Justice looks up at Martel. There's no anxiety in this dude's face. There's no pressure, no fear. Justice lifts his glass to his lips again. Trey bursts into the room with Gun Guy and White Boy Brad on his heels. Yo, 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 check this out, he says, passing a phone to Martel. They all crowd around. Brad, that's the fool you punched at that Halloween party, right? With the KKK stuff on, the Gun Guy asks. Yep, Brad says that's him. Homeboy says you whooped his butt a few months ago, Justice. Martel hands Justice the phone. There, in big, bold letters above a picture of Blake Benson, Justice McAllister's violent past, a former victim, speaks out. Dang, smarty pants, Trey says, shaking Justice's shoulder. I didn't know you had it in you. Hell yeah, bruh, from the Gun Guy. You scrap, you fight like this dude say you do, you can roll with us anytime. For real. You more like us, Justice, than I realized, Brad says. That does it for Justice, though. I gotta go. He scrambles to his feet and makes a break for the door, refusing to turn around when they call out after him. Let him go, he hears from Martel on the way out.